Picture this, right? You've got a 140-pound golfer stepping up to a tee box.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly where you're going with this.
Right. And they just absolutely obliterate a drive. I mean, 300 yards, dead center of the fairway.
Effortlessly, too.
Exactly. And then a 250-pound bodybuilder steps up. And he swings so hard it looks like he might, rupture a disc.
Yeah, and the ball just weakly slices 50 yards into the woods.
It's crazy. It defies everything we intuitively believe about human strength and athletic power. I mean, you watch a sprinter or a weightlifter, and the physics are linear.
Right, you can see the muscles contract and the force being applied.
But the golf swing is just this completely different animal. It's an absolute biomechanical paradox where trying harder almost always produces a worse result.
It really is a phenomenal illusion. I mean, the casual observer just sees this singular sweeping motion. But under the surface, the golf swing is this violent, highly calibrated chain reaction. And the moment a player tries to substitute muscular force for mechanical efficiency, the entire system just collapses.
Welcome to this deep dive into the ultimate athletic puzzle, the golf swing. Our mission today is to really bridge that massive gap between high-level sports science and what you actually experience out on the driving range.
And it is a massive gap.
Huge. We have an incredible stack of source material today. We're pulling from doctoral theses on biomechanics from the Karolinska Institute.
Specifically, Frederick Tinmark's research, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. We're also looking at 3D motion analysis data that compares PGA Touring professionals to amateurs, and we're blending all of that with practical field notes from top-tier PGA coaches.
Guys like Danny Maud, Alistair Davies, David Waters, and Josh Oddie.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we are going to look at the swing not just as an art form, but as a, frankly, staggering feat of human engineering.
Yeah, my goal today is to really translate the dense locker room jargon and the heavy physics into practical understanding for you.
Make it accessible.
Exactly. We need to look at how the body actually generates that effortless power and control, relying on hard data rather than, the myths that get passed around the clubhouse.
Totally. But before we get into the heavy physics of how to swing, we have to establish why this specific movement is such a unique problem for the human body to solve.
It's a huge problem for the brain, honestly.
Right. And Tinmark's research refers to it as the bimanual puzzle. I find that fascinating because it explains why so many great athletes from other sports, like really elite athletes, struggle so much with golf.
Oh, absolutely. Think about a baseball pitcher, right? Or a tennis player hitting a forehand, or a quarterback throwing a football.
They're all one-handed dominant.
Exactly. In almost all striking or throwing sports, you're using one dominant limb to deliver force to an object. But the golf swing is scientifically categorized as a bimanual movement control task.
Bimanual meaning two hands.
Right. You're using two upper limbs, your left and right arms locked together on a relatively small grip, to manipulate a single asymmetrical end link.
Which is the golf club.
Which is the club, yeah. And your brain is not naturally wired to coordinate two opposing sides of the body to deliver a single focal point of energy at 100 miles per hour.
I can completely relate to that feeling of just, short-circuiting over the ball. It creates this inherent paradox for you as a player. You stand over the ball wanting two things, right?
Speed and accuracy.
Exactly. You want maximum club head speed, and you want to hit the ball straight. But your central nervous system treats those goals as completely mutually exclusive.
It's a fight or flight response almost.
Right. If I tell my body to swing faster, I lose my balance and the face opens up. But if I tell my body to guide the ball straight, I tense up and lose all my speed.
Which highlights exactly why understanding the underlying mechanism is so critical. Relying on just feel in a bimanual task is dangerous.
Because your brain lies to you.
It constantly lies to you about what your limbs are doing.
Huh.
When you understand the underlying kinetic chain, you stop treating the symptoms, like a slice or a fat shot, and start addressing the root cause of the system failure.
Okay, but I want to push back on this idea of a perfect sequence for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
Because the human body has, over 200 joints?
Yep.
And more than 600 muscles. So when you factor in the infinite number of ways all those can move, how is it possible that sports science has identified one objectively correct way to transfer energy?
Well, it really comes down to the undeniable laws of physics, specifically a concept called Proximal-to-Distal Sequencing, or PDS.
PDS. Okay.
Yeah. And the research from the Karolinska Institute didn't invent this sequence. They just finally possessed the technology to measure it accurately. To maximize speed at the end of a lever efficiently Movement must start at the heavy center of the body, the proximal area, and transfer outward to the lighter extremities, the distal areas.
So from the inside out.
Exactly.
Hmm.
The elite player's kinetic chain fires in a strict, non-negotiable order. Pelvis, then thorax, then arm, then club.
Let's visualize that. Hips, chest, arms, club. That sounds simple enough in theory, but from my own experience, if I just aggressively twist my hips, my arms just get left behind and I hit a terrible push to the right.
Because you're just turning.
Right, there has to be more to the mechanism than just turning in order, surely.
You're touching on the difference between merely turning and creating what physicists call interaction torques.
Interaction torques.
Yeah, according to the leading joint hypothesis detailed in the research, your core, the massive muscles of your pelvis and torso, does not simply drag your arms along.
Like a truck pulling a trailer.
Right, it's not a truck pulling a trailer. The core generates massive rotational force, or torque. But the arms and hands act as subordinate joints.
Subordinate joints, meaning they follow the leader.
Exactly. They don't actively pull the club. They surf the wave of kinetic energy created by the core.
Oh, wow. That makes me think of the physics of cracking a bullwhip.
That's a great analogy.
Right, because if I hold a heavy bullwhip and try to throw the lightweight tip forward just using my wrist, nothing happens.
The leather just flops onto the ground.
Exactly. The only way to break the sound barrier at the tip of the whip is to forcefully snap the heavy handle forward, abruptly stop it, and let that massive wave of energy ripple down the length of the whip until it reaches the lightweight tip.
What's fascinating here is how clearly Tinmark's study validates that exact analogy. He looked at touring professionals across different types of shots,
From drives to wedges.
from full drivers to delicate little wedge shots. And the pros use this exact same proximal-to-distal sequence for both their absolute maximum effort drives and their slow submaximal wedge shots.
Wait, really? The sequence doesn't change for a pitch shot?
It doesn't change. They don't abandon the sequence when they want to hit it soft. They simply reduce the initial force, but the wave still ripples from the core to the club. It's about maintaining total mechanical efficiency.
That is wild. Okay, so if the torso is the heavy handle of the whip generating the torque, what are the arms supposed to be doing? Let's isolate the trail arm, the right arm for right-handed players.
Okay, let's look at that.
Because I was reading through PGA coach Danny Maud's field notes, and he challenges a massive misconception here. Because the golf swing looks like a circle on television, our intuition tells us that our arms need to actively sweep around our body to draw that circle.
And that is a killer for amateurs. If your arms try to draw the circle, they instantly disconnect from those interaction torques we just discussed.
They stop surfing the wave.
Exactly. Your arms begin acting independently rather than as subordinate joints. The mechanical reality of the trail arm is completely counterintuitive.
How so?
Its primary job is to move vertically. It folds up to the top of the backswing, and then it simply moves down.
Just straight down.
Just straight down. It is the rotation of the torso that turns that vertical drop into a circular, shallow path around your body.
You know, I've tried Danny Maud's split hand drill to feel this, and it is a bizarre sensation at first.
It feels very wrong to most people.
It really does. You separate your hands on the grip, take the club to the top, and just practice dropping your right arm straight down in front of your chest without turning your shoulders at all.
Yep.
It feels exactly like chopping wood. It's entirely vertical.
But when you combine that vertical chop with the aggressive rotation of the pelvis and thorax, the physics magically align.
It just works.
It does. The club drops right into the slot, as players call it. And this ties directly into the crucial concept of swinging the handle.
Swinging the handle, not the head.
Right. To utilize the interaction torque, the handle of the club must arrive at the impact zone before the club head.
So you're loading the club with potential energy, creating lag.
Exactly.
But our instinct as amateurs is to panic right at that moment. We know the club head is the thing that makes contact with the ball, so our brain just screams, throw the heavy metal head at the ball.
And the moment you throw the club head with your hands, it passes the handle.
And you lose it all.
You have exhausted all your potential energy before you even reach the ball. You're left with a weak, single pendulum motion.
Let's put some numbers to that failure, actually, because the 3D motion analysis study by Dr. Paul Hurrian and Phil Cheatham is incredibly revealing here.
Oh, the data is staggering.
It really is. They compared 19 touring professionals to 19 amateurs. The pros average 109 miles per hour of clubhead speed, while the amateurs averaged 88 miles per hour.
That is a massive gap.
That's the difference between hitting a mid-iron into a green versus hitting a fairway wood. And I used to assume the pros just had faster twitch muscle fibers or, better flexibility, but the data points to a very different mechanism.
It does. The defining difference wasn't how fast the professionals accelerated.
Oh, what was it?
It was how fast they decelerated.
Hold on, we need to explain that because that sounds backwards. They're generating 20 more miles per hour of clubhead speed by slowing down.
Yes, through a mechanism known as the deceleration deficit.
The deceleration deficit.
Right. Think back to your bullwhip analogy. For the wave of energy to transfer outward to the tip, the heavy handle can't just keep moving forward.
It has to stop.
It has to snap to a sudden halt.
Right.
In the elite golf swing, the pelvis fires rotationally, hits its peak speed, and then rapidly hits the brakes.
Wow.
This massive deceleration acts like a car crashing into a wall. It launches the unbuckled passenger, which is the thorax, forward at a much higher velocity.
So the thorax fires, hits its own peak speed, and then it slams on the brakes. And that transfers all of that compounded energy into the arms.
You've got it.
And the arms eventually brake to transfer the energy to the club. It's just this cascading series of sudden stops.
And the Hurrian and Cheatham data shows that amateurs fail spectacularly at this braking process.
Really? They don't brake?
No. Because they never generated sufficient torque from the ground up to begin with, they don't have enough rotational speed to decelerate safely. Instead, their pelvis just keeps sliding toward the target, and their chest keeps spinning at a constant slow rate.
So if the larger body segments never hit the brakes, the energy never transfers down the chain.
Exactly.
The whole body just lunges forward together.
It creates a massive energy leak. And because the amateur's brain realizes the body isn't delivering enough speed to the club, the hands and wrists panic. They try to manufacture speed at the last millisecond.
Which you can't do.
You can't. And this shows up in the standard deviation data of this study. Pros cluster tightly around a mathematically identical sequence, but amateurs are wildly inconsistent, usually peaking the speed of their arms and club far too early in the downswing.
Coaches refer to that as casting, right? Like casting a fishing rod from the top of the swing.
Exactly like that.
So what does this all mean for the moment of impact? Let's assume you get the sequence right. Your core fires and brakes, your trail arm drops vertically, you lead with the handle, and you strike the back of the ball perfectly.
The dream scenario.
Right. But the swing doesn't end there, and this is where a lot of golfers completely freeze up.
Well, impact is just a fleeting moment in a much larger continuum. We need to look at the practical coaching insights regarding what happens post-impact. Specifically, we need to examine the concept of exiting left for a right-handed golfer.
Exiting left.
Yeah, this is detailed in the notes from David Waters and Alistair Davies.
Okay, but when you tell an amateur to have their hands exit left after impact, their immediate fear is that they're going to slice the ball into the next county.
Of course.
Our brain says, if I want the ball to go straight to the target, I need to keep the club head traveling perfectly straight down the target line for as long as possible.
But that intuition completely ignores the geometry of the golf swing. You do not stand directly over the golf ball, you stand to the side of it.
Right.
The club shaft sits on an angle, roughly a 45-degree inclined plane.
Yeah.
Because of that angle, the swing path is inherently circular.
It's an arc.
Right. To deliver a square club face on a circular path, your hands and the club head must exit left after impact, moving aggressively back inside along that 45-degree arc.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of the amateur pushing their hands straight down the line, we can actually explain the biomechanics of the dreaded flip, can't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you force your hands to move in a straight line toward the target, you are fighting the circular rotation of your torso.
Your body physically cannot keep rotating if your arms are pushing straight out away from you. So your chest just stops turning.
But the club head is still traveling at 90 miles per hour.
Exactly. If your body stops rotating and your hands stall out, all that momentum forces the heavy club head to snap violently past your wrists.
So your wrists essentially collapse or flip over to absorb all that force.
Yes.
And that flip is what causes a player to hit the ground 2 inches behind the ball, or just snap hook it off the planet.
It's the destroyer of good shots.
To maintain compression, you have to keep the body rotating and let the hands disappear behind your left hip just after impact.
However, Josh Ottie's coaching notes introduce a vital nuance here that we cannot ignore. Exiting left and holding a firm, flat lead wrist is the absolute gold standard for consistent iron play, where you are trying to hit down on the golf ball.
Oh.
But you must separate this mechanical feeling when you are hitting a driver.
Oh, because the driver is a completely different physics equation.
Very different.
The ball is teed up, it's further forward in your stance, and you're trying to launch it high into the air with low spin.
Right. If you try to drag the handle left and hold off the release with the driver, you present an open face with very little loft. You will hit a weak, low fade every time.
So what's the difference?
With the driver, the center of gravity of the club head is further back, and you actually need to allow the energy to fully release past your hands to maximize your upward launch angle. The core sequence remains the same, but the release pattern adapts to the tool in your hand.
Okay, let's distill everything we've covered into the core principles you can actually take to the practice tee. We're looking at three main pillars here.
Let's hit them.
Number one is the sequence. Power does not come from swinging harder with your arms. It comes from proximal to distal sequencing. Your pelvis and thorax must accelerate rapidly, and more importantly, they must decelerate violently to transfer that energy outward.
That's spot on. Pillar number two is the trail arm. You have to abandon the idea of sweeping the club around your body. Keep your trail elbow in front of your chest.
Right.
Its primary function is to fold and unfold vertically, acting like an elevator, while the aggressive rotation of your core turns that vertical motion into a powerful circle.
And pillar number three is the path and impact. Swing the handle of the club, not the club head. Let the physics of the decelerating body fling the club head into the ball. And with your irons, embrace the circle. Ensure your hands exit left on that 45-degree arc to compress the ball, rather than steering it down the target line and flipping your wrists.
Those three pillars represent a fundamental shift from hitting at the ball to truly swinging the golf club.
It's a huge mindset shift.
It is. But this raises an important question. Where is the sports science going next? The end of Frederick Tenmark's thesis points toward the final frontier of measuring the bimanual puzzle.
Right, because earlier we established that having two hands locked on one grip makes it incredibly difficult for scientists to isolate exactly what the left hand is doing versus the right hand during a swing traveling at over 100 miles per hour.
It's been nearly impossible.
The forces just blur together on standard measuring equipment, right?
Exactly. Historically, if researchers tried to attach standard mechanical force plates directly to a golf club grip, it would make the club incredibly bulky and completely alter the golfer's natural grip and behavior.
So the data became useless.
Completely useless. But researchers are currently developing high-resolution, pressure-sensitive sensor matrices.
What are those?
These are micro-thin films that can wrap seamlessly around a standard grip without the player even noticing they're there.
So they can finally see the invisible forces happening right under the fingers. What exactly are they looking for with that?
They're mapping the normal and tangential forces of the hands. Normal force is the pressure directed straight inward, how hard the fingers are actually squeezing the grip.
Okay.
Tangential force is the pressure acting parallel to the surface, so the twisting, sliding, or torquing forces applied by the hands.
Wow.
Yeah. By syncing this grip pressure mapping with 3D motion capture, the next generation of coaching will be able to see the microscopic manipulations of interaction torque right at the fingertips. We will finally understand the tiny pressure shifts that separate an elite ball striker from an average touring pro.
Here's where it gets really interesting. When you strip away the history, the prestige, and, the extreme frustration of the game, the perfect golf swing is just a masterful, breathtaking manipulation of physics.
That really is beautiful.
It's an unbroken chain of kinetic energy that originates from pushing against the ground, travels up through the braking action of the torso, is guided efficiently by a stable, vertically moving trail arm, and finishes violently but beautifully on a 45-degree arc to the left.
And yet, it requires a human nervous system to orchestrate that physics equation, which leaves us with a final thought to ponder.
Go for it.
We discussed how the human body has immense redundancy, hundreds of joints and muscles that could theoretically just hack at the ball. But when you dedicate yourself to mastering this specific proximal to distal sequence, a profound neurological shift occurs.
How so?
You aren't just moving a stick anymore. Through thousands of repetitions of this exact kinetic chain, your central nervous system actually maps the club head as a literal extension of your own body.
Oh, wow.
Your brain begins to treat the graphite and steel as bone and sinew. When your hands feel the handle, your brain feels the club face moving in space. The bimanual puzzle gets solved, and the club truly becomes a part of you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our channel and share it with fellow golfers, coaches, and PGA professionals. If there is a topic you would like us to research, analyze, and discuss in a future episode, feel free to send us an email or connect with us through LinkedIn. Whether your interest is golf biomechanics, kinematics, ground reaction forces, swing mechanics, putting, coaching, club fitting technology, or sports science, we would love to hear from you. Our team will review your submission, conduct extensive research, analyze the available evidence, and may create a dedicated podcast episode, article, video, or testing project based on your topic. Thank you for being part of the eCoach 360 degree community.